get into the conversation for the morning. And yes, we are looking at the flood situation in the states, trying to get updates on what's really happening. The last time I had this conversation, we had the member of the committee, the Commissioner for Information, also a member of the Flood Committee in Rivers State, with us in the studio, and responded to several questions from you guys, and those areas where they felt they've not really gotten much attention with regards to tackling the problem and mitigating the impact of the flood on residents who have been displaced. And the promise at that time was that, that information will be passed across to the committees at that local government, and efforts would be on to address that problem. Now, fast forward to today, we're having similar conversation with regards to the flood situation in the state, but would focus on Oyigbo local government area and look at what is what's happening there and how much of an impact the flood committee has made in that area on behalf of the state government, and also putting into consideration the activities of the local government working in synergy with the committee to alleviate the adverse impact of the flood on residents in Oyigbo, amongst many other issues in Oyigbo local government area. There's always been a conversation around the waste management in that council. That's something we'd also bring up, because you can imagine waste and flood together. I mean, it's never going to come out as fancy for anyone who resides in that area or finds himself in the midst of that situation. Well, quickly, I'm supposed to speak today with the Commissioner for Environment, Sydney Gbara. We're trying to get in touch with him now. Perhaps he's caught up with public activity as a civil servant that he is. As soon as we're able to establish contact, he will join us on the show. But quickly, we'll also be speaking with a member of the Flood Committee in Oyigbo local government and a stakeholder in Oyigbo, Victor Okpute, who's my friend. It's been a long time. We've had a conversation. Mr. Victor, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Quite a long time, and I'm delighted to see you. Good morning, Rivers people, and all our very, very distinguished listeners.
If you go on Facebook, you'd see how he's dressed. If you want to see how he's dressed and understand why we're laughing, just go on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, and you see how he's looking. He came prepared. Unfortunately, there's no flood here.
No, there is
but then we understand. So on Facebook, we're streaming live at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Let's get into the conversation. I wish we had the commissioner already on the line, but we'll still keep trying to get his response. Well, before the break, quickly, first off, give us an overall view of what the situation is in Oyigbo since the new administration emerged after the election. A lot has been expected, a lot has been said, but let's start with the flood. What's the situation like, and how far has it been addressed?
Thank you very much for this very, very rare opportunity, really. I'm Dr. Victor Okpute, and incidentally, I happen to be the Flood Management Control Chairman for Oyigbo local government. And that is the capacity I'm speaking for. And I want to thank the Executive Chairman of Oyigbo local government, Honorable Dr. Gift Okere, for giving the team, it's a 20-man committee, the flood committee is 20-man, giving the team the opportunity, led by me, to serve in that capacity. And of course, the Executive Chairman, Governor of Rivers State, being proactive to come up with this committee. We are very optimistic that the essence of bringing on board the committee is to solve problems, to identify the flood problems within the Oyigbo enclave, and profile solutions to it. And that is where yours truly come in, to solve problem. We're not here for joke.
All right.
So now, the impact of flood in Oyigbo local government, we must, first of all, acknowledge the fact that there is flood situation in Oyigbo local government. And it is in a nightmare form. No matter how kind and how simple we speak about it, is a situation that have brought nightmare to the impacted people within communities in Oyigbo local government, especially the urban city center. Now, it's in two ways. There are flood ravaged areas within the rural communities in Oyigbo, the Doki areas, where flood come from the river. That one is a river flow. Then in the urban city center of Oyigbo local government, the scenario there is a flash rain flood situation. So oftentimes we don't make mistakes about it when we are trying to identify the condition, the kind of flooding we have, especially in the urban city center. And it's also on record that about 90% of the environment, the city center, is vulnerable to flood in Oyigbo local government. Now, it's not usually the situation before now. You know, it's a story that have been on recurrent decimal between, let's say, 3 years now. When the former governor of Rivers State, Barrister E.N. Wike, constructed Old Port Harcourt Road. You know, we yearned that time about that road, and Nigeria Info helped us to also get the attention of the then governor, the former governor. And he came to walk that road. And of course, at the same time, one other road they call Umusia Road, cutting across the Leme area, was also walked. But there was a construction scenario, what we called a construction error, road construction error in that project. A situation where instead of doing a proper drainage system that could be channeled to a canal, we have a reservoir, Imo River, that is big enough to contain any high volume of water within the urban center. So instead of the contractor, I think it was JMS Construction Company that handled that Old Port Harcourt Road in Oyigbo Urban. Instead of them channeling this drainage to Imo River, for reason best known to them, those drainage systems were moved to residential areas. That's the truth. That is the fundamental cause of the flood ravage in Oyigbo.
So just to interrupt, it's not as a result of what we have with the dam that's affecting other areas, or it's also a contributing factor to what you're experiencing?
Yes, it's a contributing factor. You can talk about the Imo River and the dam issue around the rural community areas in Oyigbo.
Okay, but for the center, it's as a result of this work.
Is as a result of flash rain flood not having a channel to move. It retrogresses into residential areas. Government is aware of this. Ministry of Environment, Rivers State Ministry of Environment, who have conducted a lot of survey in this Oyigbo urban area, are aware of this. So government have first-hand information about this. No wonder they had to come up with a committee also to do more research and bring up recommendation on what could be the remedy, the management of the flood. And as a flood committee, immediately we came on board. 2 days we came on board. We were asked to do a flood report of Oyigbo local government, the situation as it is. And we were able to do that and did a very, very comprehensive recommendation. The recommendations were in 2 ways: structural approach to tackling the flood and non-structural approach to tackling the flood. So those are the things we've done, and this report has gone through. And when NEMA came to Rivers State, that was last week, Tuesday or so, the first port of call was Oyigbo local government. They came to Oyigbo local government for an on-the-spot assessment of flood ravage. They came, those in Abuja joined the South-South counterpart of NEMA, and they came to Oyigbo local government. We received them. The executive chairman of Oyigbo local government, Honorable Gift Okere, Honorable Dr. Gift Okere, received them at the local government headquarters before they moved to the flood-impacted areas. Yes. So that's where we are. We've submitted those reports, and as of yesterday, those that came from Abuja has confirmed to me that they have done a report and submitted to the Abuja head office on the situation of flood in Oyigbo. And they put it into cognizance that people around there are particularly talking about the solution to the flooding. Now, last time I came here when we were talking about the flood situation in Oyigbo, I told you a scenario where flood drowned a 12-year-old child. And that was not a concocted story. It was a true life story. All right,
just hold that thought there. Let's take a short commercial, because when we come back, we'll now get into what is being done by the local government to address the problem. Okay. Stay with us.
For more talk, news and
Conversation continues. I have with me the chairman of the floor committee in Oyigbo in the studio, Victor Okpute, with us. Would also be joined by the Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Sydney Gbara, who will be speaking with us on the show this morning as well. The flood situation with the updates, and importantly, the focus is the situation in Oyigbo. You've heard from my guest trying to give insight into the genesis of this flood situation, and for him, as a structural problem for the Oyigbo city center. That's what's responsible for the flash floods that come from time to time when it rains, and then when the Imo River overflows its banks, communities then get to suffer. So now you put that side by side with the situation we have with the dam, and then you can only imagine the degree of impact this would have, adverse impact it would have on the people negatively. We'll go down to him and figure out what has the government been doing so far to help. How have they been managing? What's the situation in the IDP camps? And so on and so forth. So, Mr. Okpute, while we try to get in touch with the Honorable Commissioner, talk to us. So you've established the grounds about what's happening here, but can you tell us what steps have been taken by, first, the council chairman in Oyigbo to address this problem?
Well, acknowledging the efforts of the executive chairman of Oyigbo local government, we must first of all thank him for bringing on board the flood management control and prevention committee, which of course I'm heading, and that was an approach to finding a way to resolving the problem as regarding flood situation in Oyigbo local government. And of course, you know, it was a directive from the executive governor of Rivers State. And you know, the floods chairman, committee chairman in the state is the deputy governor of Rivers State, under the directive of the executive governor. So it means government have identified that there is a problem to solve. So government now brought committee to actually evaluate the level of damage, to look at the flood situation side by side and bring recommendations.
But we get these things, but how much of an impact have the committee had with, the working relationship? What is on ground? What
Okay, let me tell you what is on ground right now. You know, the executive chairman of Oyigbo local government, his tenure is not more than 1 month now. I think it's 1 month now. So he came on board, the committee was brought on board, and we have made recommendations to government almost immediately. And it's a working document government have to use to work. Now, I was explaining in that working document recommendations we've made. I made mention of structural approaches and non-structural approach. I was talking about the structural approach. Those are what governments will do as the recommendation has gone. I've talked about the structural approach where they have to build drainage system, identify where dams, water reservoirs, flood reservoirs can be built, and get involved environmental experts to evaluate the topography of the environment, identify high hill and low hill areas. Now, on the non-structural approach I mentioned, it has to do with government at least looking at the epidemic impact of the flood situation and send medical attention to the impacted areas.
So you don't have medical, is it that you don't have medical attention at the moment enough?
That was why the recommendation came, and government is making arrangement to do that. I'm talking on my capacity. Now, we also recommended on the non-structural approach, government should send relief materials to these people because they are means of livelihood.
How many camps? Do you have camps in Oyigbo where people are
Of course we have camps.
Where are the camps and how many are they?
Okay, right now we have an IDP camp at State Primary School in Oyigbo West. It was established last year when the flood was, it was so intense. So it was established last year, and it recorded a huge number of persons who flood have sent away from their homes. They have nowhere to go. So they were sent there, and government took proper care of them during the previous administration. And of course, it was also the current governor that overseed that made sure that camp was established. Now, the executive chairman of Oyigbo local government, Honorable Dr. Gift Okere, right now, have identified that one camp in the urban city center could not accommodate huge number of people that are displaced by this flood. So he is making arrangement for 2 extra camp, IDP camp, internally displaced persons camp, in the rural community areas. At least one in the rural community and one extra one in the urban center.
And in the already existing camp, you don't have medical supplies. You don't have. What supplies do you have in those camps? Because I mean, in my conversations with the Commissioner for Information, who is a part of the committee, as well as the Commissioner for Environment, who is a part of the committee, what I've always heard was we have health workers in all of these camps. We have because I asked the question of what if they are pregnant women? We need good sanitary condition. How do they go about handling, the sanitary condition of the place? Do you have toilets? Do you have all of these things? So, what is the situation of these things? Can you confirm for us that you really have medical supplies and you have these health workers there who attend to people? Do you have a sick bay? How does it work?
Right now, government is making arrangement to move the flood.
You mean for Oyigbo particularly?
Yes, for Oyigbo. Government is making arrangement to move the flood victims into the camp. The camp is going through some retouchings. Last year flood came and stayed for about 5-6 months thereabout. So the people went back to their home when the flood subsided. They went back to their home, and the camp is to be renovated. That's what government is doing. But
that's a question. Because just think, other people. If I open the phone lines now, I can bet you there are people that will tell you that. I mean, with all the notice that we had, why are we renovating now? So if you're renovating now and the flood is already on, where are the people then now staying whilst the work is being done at the camps?
That is also to let you know that the current administration of the executive chairman of Oyigbo local government just came on board, not up to just 1 month now. And within the 1 month, these mechanisms are going on. So he's doing everything he can to make sure that this camp is functional and move people into the camp. Actually,
so the people are not in the camp now?
Right now, people are not in the camp. They are supposed to go there as at Sunday, but the arrangement have not been concluded to move people into the camp.
So what is being done to help them where they are? Because clearly some of them would have been already displaced or affected by the flood. Or is it a situation where they have to fend for themselves pending when the work in the camp is done and then they move them to the camp?
Well, government is not...
Or a temporary site where they have been kept first?
No, there's no temporary site. Government is also not unaware of the fact that these people need urgent attention. That's why they are expediting action to make sure that they reach out to them. And from the committee level, at the level of what we can do, we are reminding the state government that these people need an action. And you make no mistake about it, the deputy governor of Rivers State is directly in charge of the flood management.
Have they visited Oyigbo?
They are yet to visit Oyigbo. They are visiting some other local government. So they will visit Oyigbo maybe any moment from now. And the camp is going to be ready before their visit. It can happen any moment. The internally displaced persons can be moved into the camp at any moment as arrangement is getting towards conclusion to move them in.
Well, is the current situation right now that you've explained, is the committee aware and the state government aware of it, and have there been meetings and conversations around how fast or how quick that can be addressed?
Of course they are aware. As a committee, we are in constant touch with the state committee as well, because that's the level we can send our report. We're in constant touch with even the Ministry of Environment and some other relevant agencies. Like I told you, the NEMA officials came to Oyigbo, and that was a fact-finding mission they came for. So we're in touch with them, and we're actually waiting for action plan of the government, having made that recommendation.
We have the Commissioner for Environment with us via telephone now. Let's quickly hear from him. We don't have a lot of time. Honorable Commissioner, thank you for joining us. I'll just go straight to the point. I have the Flood Committee Chairman in Oyigbo with us here in the studio. He said quite a lot, so I'll just need you to respond to one very critical aspect of most of the things he said. My first question would be whether the State Flood Committee is yet to visit Oyigbo? Have you been there, or what's happening? Because what we're getting now is that you are yet to visit Oyigbo, and we know that that area is one area that is adversely affected by the flood. What's the situation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ifemi. Like I earlier said in our previous interview, when the flood committee, special flood committee was, constituted by His Excellency, we have hit the ground running, and we've been visiting various LGAs. We have a timetable with which we are working with. So far, we have been to Akinima. We have been to Ndoni and the Egbema axis of Ndoni local government. But that's not all. The Egi part of the LGA we are still going to visit. Today, we'll be heading to Ahoda East local government before we will get to Oyigbo local government. And I will equally be quick to let you know that these LGAs, we are planning two visits, because the situation we are getting now in Akinima, the water has risen more than the way it was when we visited the last time. We sent our fact-finding mission there, and we have to revisit again to see what the situation of the IDP camp is, if some of the measures that we put in place are still there, and if the people need to be relocated. So we are in touch with the various LGA chairmen who will cooperate in equally replicated them in their various LGAs. So the turn of Oyigbo will come. Precisely this week, we will visit Oyigbo local government. So that's the situation.
All right. Another critical thing that was mentioned, we don't know how the committee works, but so from what we gathered based on conversations, health personnel are supposed to be part of the committee and exist within the camp. We're supposed to have sick bays and all of that. At the moment, what we're getting is that we are yet to have those available in Oyigbo. The gentleman here said that they're working on putting up the camp. Is that supposed to be a concern, the fact that it's taking this long?
That's why the commissioner of health is the chairman will instruct the chairman to ensure that they co-opt all those in charge of primary health care in their various LGAs are automatic members of the committee. So in the palliative we are distributing, we locally have medication,
Hello, Honorable Commissioner. I don't know if you can hear us, but over here, we really can't hear you. I think we're having an interruption there with the service providers. Let's quickly get on to the phone lines and hear what the listener has to say. I'm pretty sure they have a lot. We have people on Facebook watching from Owerri and Akwa Ibom. You can also drop your comments on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH and join in on the conversation. In the meantime, call us up now on 0817-923-0007. Again, 0817-923-0007. My guest says the commissioner, you heard him, the turn of Oyigbo will come. If you're in Oyigbo, now will be a perfect time to tell us how you're coping, especially with what we've heard that the camp is still being worked on, looking at the fact that the commissioner assumed office just of a little over a month, and some things need to be put in order. But then the flood would not wait or recognize that. It would continue doing what flood does. So while that is happening, how are you managing? What's the impact on you? And how are you coping? We need to know. So if you're in Oyigbo, please, 0817-923-0007. And those who are calling in, keep it very short and go straight to the point. Leighton Barry, good morning.
Good morning, Ifemi Andrew.
Yeah.
And good morning to member of the committee in the House.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, Ifemi, yes, I must commend the committee. They have tried their little best. But there is one thing I feel I actually realized in government setting up committees and all that. The problem is that they don't come up with conclusion or come up with what they've actually done. It will still be on the process. After this government, you will still see those who will come up and say the other people never did well. They are trying to do, they just come on board, blah, 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 like that. You see the whole process will just end up like that. And I see that the problem we are having is that state government fail to pay ecological funds to victims. And for that reason, since the citizens cannot hold them responsible to pay for the environmental degradation, makes them to come up with excuses whenever each administration comes on board. And they remain telling us stories upon stories, and at the end of the day, they will go and nothing will come up. Like the issue of Oyigbo, the place I know is that I wouldn't have loved to hear that there is a flash flood or flood taking over communities there, because they don't have a nearby stream, Imo River, close to them that will just link the drainage to. But if you can be surprised that it is imagine to me that they are talking about flood in Oyigbo, whereby there are places where they can link these things, and this water will not go. And the worst part of it is that those local government workers, those who work for local government, fail to have followed those people who build the houses. They will build fence on where they are supposed to be drainage, and local government cannot call them to
Let's
order.
go to Uzo in Oyigbo. Thank you, Leighton Barry. Uzo, quickly, good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling in from Oyigbo.
Yes, talk to us.
Yes, and so I'm the chairman of PCS in Oyigbo there. I want to thank my able comrade, Victor. Thank you for coming up with this topic, and I know you have the capacity to do the job that the chairman has given you to do.
Thank you.
We in PC State and Greatland, we also adversely affected by the flood. And I believe that the chairman whom have come up with this idea of doing something regarding the flood will remember us and do the needful. That's all I want to say. I know in their capacity they can do something.
All right. George in Buguma, quickly, let's hear you. Good morning, George.
Andrew, I want to thank the man and let me greet him. Good morning. I thank him for the steps taken so far.
Thank you. Good
But
morning.
I'm not really comfortable with the handling to which the Environment Commissioner are saying that it is by this week. You see, I keep saying that do not wait until these people cry out. You must have to take a step ahead of to prove to us that, yes, you are fully in charge of this committee set up by the governor, is fully in charge to do things amicably. Now you are saying that it's this week. So before you get there, after your preparation to get there, and when you get there, many things may have gone wrong and all of that, and you begin to start all over things that you would have been done before now. You now begin to start all over. I'm not comfortable with if the deputy governor is not really inactive. I think she should be dropped and let the proactive people take over the job, because I am not comfortable with all these things I'm hearing.
All right, thank you very much, George. Quickly. Benson Ubagi, quickly, so we can get back to the commissioner. I think we have him on the line now. Benson, quickly.
It's all right. Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Tony Benson from Obagi community in America. Yes, I want to also contribute to this flood matter. Last week I called, and thank God that the deputy governor is from gay community and is aware of what is happening in this region. So the flood problem, it has been a serious problem to us in Obagi here. And up to now, no sign, nothing has happened. I don't know what we have done wrong. Even during the flood, I lost my elder brother that went to the farm to harvest cassava. He died in the flood. And which I snapped, and the area has sent a photograph to Onega Council. Up to now, there is no response. Nothing has been done. And we are suffering. And the water has carried out all our cassavas, all our we are suffering. Most of us are homeless.
All right, Benson, thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. Let's quickly get to the commissioner so we get his response in under 2 minutes. Hello, Honorable Commissioner, you can hear us?
Yes.
All right, so is it not possible that the committee splits itself and have some people go here and some people go there so that we cover more ground and attend to more people who need to be attended to in record time, as against, taking one day, one place, 1 week, one place, and everybody goes together? Isn't there a better approach to doing this?
Yes, we are already doing that. What our people need to understand is that this flood is a natural occurrence, not created by neither them or us. But as a responsible government, our own is to ensure that we step in. The strategy for the visitation, like you said, we already splitted the committee. And the areas that have been affected are a lot. It's not what we can do in one day. You understand me? Because it has to do with logistics. You don't go there empty-handed. You have to go with logistics. You have to go with several other things. And I will equally tell you that not only the state government, we've been able to, we partner with NEMA from the federal government. They are equally, on top of working with us, on this. So that we have done. All I want to plead with our people is just, a little time, and we'll be able to cover all the LGAs. It's not very easy. Everybody needs the attention at the same time. You understand that. Our Excellency, the chairman, is doing very, very well, and showing a lot of capacity as it gets to that. The Obagi area is our own area, and she's passionate about them. But sometimes when you start the trip from your own village, they will say, it's because it's our own village. I don't understand me. So she's trying to show that liberality.
All right, Honorable Commissioner, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. We have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Okpute. Thank you as well. We can't let you come back on. We have to go for a commercial now.
You are tuned in to